shoulders. So palms facing forward. Gonna cross them until you feel like, all right, so that's where my shoulder stops. And then we rotate, so rotate that biceps, and then go all the way that way. Then we reverse, we go backwards and up. Okay, once you've done a couple and you feel like, all right, so I get that motion, then what you can do is start squeezing your hands, extend your elbows, and do that same rotation. And you'll probably feel that that's becoming a little harder, the output is a little higher, and the demand rises a little bit. And now if you combine that with pushing into something throughout that motion, you can make this a really nice shoulder exercise. Okay, so shake that out because we're going to do enough shoulders today anyway. All right, so we're gonna, you know what? Yeah, come sit on your hands and knees. So we're gonna start off with some scapula stuff, which is your shoulder blade. And then because we need the shoulder blade to move in order to accommodate free shoulder motion. So it's always good when you train your shoulders to also think about your scapulas a little bit more. So while we were just standing, we were doing it like that, right? So we're going to do that same motion, but now with your hands on the floor. Elbows are straight. We keep them extended. And then we're going to make those same rotations. So shoulders go up, shoulder blades go backwards, shoulder blades go down, shoulder blades go forward. So you feel that this is this is pretty hard to do sometimes, but it should fire the same muscles, and it should feel similar as what you did before.
Hard to tell that you're not moving your body, it's actually your shoulders.
All right, so if that happens, what you can do is extend your spine all the way and keep that extended. So you bring your chest up to the ceiling and you really keep that tension into that extension. Because now, when you move it, you're not using your spine and the rest of your body to make that motion. Does that make sense?
It does.
Doesn't make it easier. Doesn't make it easier, but I understand what you're saying.
Yes, I'm still not convinced I'm actually doing it right.
All right, so let's break it down. If this is hard for you, so we find a relatively neutral position, so we're not really back or forwards, but somewhere in the middle. And from there, we're just going to go up and down, up and down, up and down.
Is it like a shrug?
Yeah, like a shrug. That's it. Ja, dus je trekt je schouders op en dan ga je naar beneden. Good, so keep those elbows locked in extension. And sometimes it helps to rotate the fronts of your elbow forward. Ja, dus je draait hem als het ware zo. Okay, you have this motion, so the shrugging, dus je trekt je schouders op en je schouders dan naar beneden. Yeah? You have that motion?
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to start in that relatively neutral position. We're not really up, we're not really down. And we're going to go sink your chest towards the ground and then push your hands away. So it's that similar thing what we did in the last class, where you pull yourself in and you push yourself out of that position. So it's as if when you're sinking in, it's as if you want to pull your hands up, and that's how you pull your chest through your shoulders. So you should feel the muscles in the back, right in between your shoulder blades. You should feel those contract. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, and now all we have to do is combine those two motions. So I'm pulling myself, pulling my chest down. Now shoulders shrug. Now I'm pushing forwards and I'm shrugging down. Back, up, forwards, down. Okay, let's reverse that motion. Good. Yeah? You all have this motion? Okay. Now let's make this a little harder. So instead of having your hands right underneath your shoulders, we're going to sit back on your heels a little bit, then a bit more. Not fully in the child pose, but somewhere in the middle. And we're going to do that similar thing. Ja. Dus dan mag je ietsjes meer daar. Ja, dus dan laat je handen dan daar staan. Dus ja, dus dan hebben we net even een grotere hoek in de schouder. If this is hard for you to make those circles, just break it down again to forwards and backwards. So squeeze your shoulder blades together, push your hands into the floor. Okay, so keep your hands there. Now sit back. There you go. So now we have a bigger angle in your shoulders. And now let's do it again. So the reason why we sit back is because now we have about 90 degrees. So the way we started, we had about 90 degrees of shoulder flexion. So that's about here. If I sit back on my heels, I have a bigger angle in my shoulder, going more towards the end range, making it harder to move my scapula. So this is a progression of sitting like this, because having your hands a little higher will make it harder to make this motion. Okay, if you're feeling okay with this, move your hands a little forward. And we're going to do that similar thing. So up, there, down. So also here you might gonna slide your mat, but that's fine. And you should feel that the muscles that attach onto your shoulder blade and go towards your mid-back, that those are firing now. Is that correct? And the upwards motion is going to be in line with your shoulders, right? So I'm shrugging in line with my shoulders, or in line with my arms. Yeah, so see if you can push into here. So pull those scapulas down and then push them up. Yeah. It can even help to slide your mat a little bit. To pull them down and to shrug them up. There you go. Yes, because now you feel those movements as well. You guys okay with this one? Yeah. It's hard, huh?
If you go forward, it's very hard.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because whenever we are here, our shoulder still has a lot of space. My scapula can move pretty freely. The more I bring my arm up, so for example, this is my shoulder end range. So now my scapula doesn't have that much place to go to, but we still want some ability to move my scapula without rotating my shoulder. And a lot of shoulder issues actually arise from the inability to move your scapula. So if, let's say you're doing handstands and you're always getting that pinch on the top side, then sometimes it's not even the shoulder joint itself, but it's actually your ability to move your scapula, because that scapula is just jammed there and it doesn't know what to move for. Yeah? Okay. So we've done that. Okay, now we're going to go to shoulder. So we're going to start in this position again. And with one arm this time, we're going to move up and we're going to make that same rotation like we did in the morning routine. You're rotating your biceps. Yeah, there you go. And it's also interesting to feel, what is your compensation pattern? Do you extend your spine or do you rotate your spine in order to accommodate that shoulder? So you're definitely a rotator. You're definitely a rotator. You're pretty good. Okay, so if you're a rotator, come and sit up. So we're doing the right arm. So your right leg is forward. Because before we go in, so what I see with you is that in order to accommodate that shoulder, you're rotating that spine backwards, which is okay, but we want the ability to isolate. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lock our spine into that rotation so it doesn't know how to compensate. So my left arm goes over, and I'm really rotating that way. Okay, so now we go again. What's the difference?
Really feel it there.
More shoulder, more specific to the shoulder. Good, and really see if you can rotate all the way. You can pull yourself into that rotation a little bit more. And let's say you were a spine, or like an extension band compensation, because some people, they do that in order to accommodate their shoulder motion. What we're going to do then is sit in that same child pose where I'm going to keep my spine bent, and then I'm going to make those same rotations. So let's do that too. Just so you can feel what the differences are. Yeah, so really actively round your spine. Yeah, so don't force through anything, Peter. So I'd rather have you making a smaller motion, but more specific to your shoulder. There you go. There we go. All right. Let's try that same thing on the other arm. So start off with a neutral position and just rotating it like that. Also here, see if you can feel if you're a rotator or an extender. Good. And you can also try to consciously block that rotation from happening, right? All right. So come and sit up. So now left foot is forward, right arm goes over. And I'm really trying to rotate as much as I can. And then we're doing that shoulder rotation. And this is actually a pretty nice variation of doing this, because now you can't really use your spine to move. It should feel pretty specific in your shoulder. Good. So Fedor, see if you can really rotate that biceps. Yeah. So we go here, so our biceps is rotated externally. Then from here we rotate that biceps internally until it's all the way facing backwards when we are here. Then I reverse, rotate that biceps up again. If you think about your biceps, how to rotate that will give you more shoulder rotation versus if I just think thumb up and down. All right, come sit in this position. So spine is rounded. So I'm actively rounding my spine. Ja, dus je maakt je rug helemaal bol. Yep, so I'm pushing my back out and then I'm gonna make that rotation. And that will block your spine flexion. So you can't extend from your spine and you have to be more specific to your shoulder. Yeah, you should feel that this is a pretty nice shoulder workout. So try doing your other shoulder better. That's like, you already did that one, right? And also here, just keep it controlled. You don't have to force through anything. Yeah, I'd rather have you make smaller, more conscious and more specific the motions versus really big ones where you actually hurt yourself. We don't want that. Okay. Yeah, so now I think we have a pretty good idea about how our shoulder moves, right? So now, let's dive a little bit deeper into that. So grab your seat, and you're going to place it in front of you. And you're going to put your elbow on it. So I'm going to start here. So I can pick different ranges depending on how flexible I am, right? If I'm pretty flexible and I have enough space, I can sink all the way down and really go to my end range. But we're going to start up about half. And what we're going to do here is rotate internally and externally. And I'm going to keep the rest of my body still, not going to move anything but my shoulder. Good. I'm going to make a nice fist. I'm going to squeeze. I'm going to just make this a little hard on myself. If this is easy for you, just sink that shoulder down a little bit more towards the floor and get that shoulder into a bit more end range. And really see if you can externally rotate all the way. So, yeah, there you go. And that should really start to feel like your lat is getting on fire. If you're okay, and this is not too hard, let's sink a little bit deeper into that stretch. So sink that shoulder towards the floor. And if the previous one was your max, then that's going to be your max, right? I want you just to feel this in your shoulder and your lat, but it shouldn't feel painful. It shouldn't feel compressive. Klein beetje omhoog komen. Ja, dat is genoeg. Mag je echt hier tegenaan duwen. Ja. Dus duw hem helemaal naar buiten weer. En dan duw maar tegen mijn vinger aan. Dus dit is al genoeg range voor jou, hè? How's this feeling for you, Andy? So you feel in that end range when you go into external rotation, yeah. it gets a little crampy, right?
Yeah.
So ease off a little bit.
Yeah.
Good. Now see if you can just keep this really tight. Just rotate that shoulder. There you go. You doing right? You doing okay, Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. It's really good. This is hard, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So. Yes. Yes. So this is also that position where whenever we go into an overhead position, so let's say you want to do pull-ups, right? We're externally rotated and our shoulder goes up. Sometimes people feel that pinch in that top position and they go like, oh, you know, that hurts. Or whenever you do a shoulder press, it hurts. And that's because sometimes the shoulder doesn't have enough external rotation. So you're just gonna jam that into the roof of the shoulder. And with this, we're mimicking that same position, right? I'm here, And now I'm actively trying to rotate externally to train in that position, the external rotation. And for some people, that's here. For some people, that's here. For some people, their max is here. This is where their shoulder stops. So this is also for you to go like, hey, when I do this, and all I feel is I'm rotating my body and I'm moving everything around, then that position is too much for you. I want you to find a position where you can keep the rest of your body completely still and just isolate that shoulder. All right, switch arms. So start a little easy and just sink deeper as you go. And really see if you can push against that external rotation. There we go.
External rotation feels almost like a stretch for the shoulder blade.
Yeah. Because some muscles are being lengthened in that position and some of them are being shortened. Because the lat is being lengthened, but the teres, some of the rotator cuff are actually being shortened, so they can get crampy. Good. Keep that going. Okay. Shake that off a little bit. That's hard, huh?
Yeah.
Where do you guys feel this?
Good.
Good.
That one right there as well.
And it should feel like the muscles are working. It shouldn't feel like a pain or a pinch, right? All right.
Even without moving, I already feel it.
Yeah.
Just hanging.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do now. So this is just an exploration and a training where we go like, hey, I'm gonna shorten muscles and I'm gonna lengthen muscles. What we're gonna do now, we're really gonna try to see if we can get some more range of motion there. So we're gonna find a position where you feel a stretch. We're gonna externally rotate. And if you want, you can lock your hand behind your head. And we're just gonna spend about 2 minutes here. And I really want you to focus on opening and lengthening that tissue there on the bottom side of your armpit. You also feel your lats, that they're starting to stretch. And you're gonna just push with 20% effort, push that elbow into the seat. So it's a really active type of stretching. Good. And now we're going to see if we can elongate that a little bit. So instead of pushing in, let's see if you can pull off that shoulder and you push your armpit towards the floor. Do I explain that enough? So we're doing that kinetic type of stretching again. So I'm pushing into the table and I'm pulling my armpit towards the floor. Yeah, now I'm going to push my elbow into the seat again, feeling that nice stretch. Hold that for a bit. And now I'm going to push that elbow or the armpit towards the floor. And this will probably feel like a cramping on your scapula. Is that correct? Okay, start pushing in again. Push that elbow in. There we go. And push that armpit towards the floor. Good. So you're pushing into here, right? Yeah. Pushing that down. So push that down towards the floor. There you go. Okay, start pushing that elbow into the seat again. Good, so don't let me win. Good. So now you feel that nice stretch happening there. Okay, if it feels like a compression, then ease off a little bit. Okay, now start pushing that armpit towards the floor again. There you go. That feel like a stretch here? Good. Okay, a few more reps. So push into it. Push that elbow into the seat. There you go. And then push that armpit toward the floor. Okay. So ease off out of that position a little bit. Keep that elbow there. And we're going to just go for a few of those reps where we start in an easier position and then we slightly go towards that deeper stretch. I really want you to make a few reps in that external rotation and see what that feels like now when you do it. It's a little tired, but it should feel like there's some more space in there. Okay, good. Switch arms. Feel okay? It hurts. But
You don't feel it here?
if you feel it there, then you might be in a, you might want to ease off that position a little bit. Because if that happens, then whenever you're pressing, you're actually using your traps instead of that you.
Yeah, but I feel here with flexion here. When I'm pressing my elbow,
Yeah.
it's here and here.
All right. So the next time you press that elbow, see if you can visualize that you're not doing that, but it's not just the elbow you're pushing in, but it's the entire upper arm that you're pushing in. Yeah? Okay, switch arms. So find your end range. Have that external rotation. And then from there, we're just gonna push into that seat. Start a little lighter. You don't have to go level 10 when we start. Okay, and then push that armpit towards the floor. So really elongating the muscles here. Okay, and now push that elbow into the seat again. Good. And push that elbow down or the armpit down. So really push into here. Okay, now start pushing that elbow into it again. And then you really want to push into this as well. Just really push that in. Good. Okay, now push that armpit towards the floor again. Good. Yeah. Okay, push that elbow into the seat. Good. Don't let me win. There we go, and now push this against the floor. Good. Now push into the elbow again. Okay, don't let me win. There we go. Don't let me win, Fedor. Push that elbow in. There we go. And push that armpit into the floor. Good. Few more reps. Elbow in. Good. And armpit down. Elbow in. And really see if you can press it through that seat, if you can make a dent in it. And push that armpit towards the floor. There we go. Okay, last set. So we're gonna push that elbow into the floor, into the seat, and then that armpit goes down towards the floor. Good. Push it, push it, push it. All right. So let's do a couple of those rotation ones. Yeah, so make a fist. And then we're going to rotate. Start in an easy position. And then You sink that shoulder blade down towards the floor, that armpit down towards the floor, until you get to that end range. And for me, I have a left shoulder issue, and this stuff is significantly harder on my left shoulder than it is on my right shoulder. Few more reps. Really see if you can target that external rotation. Goed zo, zo ver als je kan. Yes. Dan mag je hem daar vasthouden. Hou maar vast, hou maar vast, hou maar vast. Ja, misschien weer nog een klein beetje meer terug. Maakt het een klein beetje makkelijker dan voor jezelf. Ja, dat is beter. Goed zo, hou hem weer vast, hou hem daar vast. Hou hem daar vast, hou hem daar vast, hou hem daar vast. Laat mij niet winnen. That's it. Push into me. There we go. All right, guys. That's harder than what you thought. All right, let's just come and sit here.